Get shit down, loser.
I don't want to use something that's not false right on it. That's what she's not bad. Shit.
Get
Yeah, we'll just toss it in the... I don't want to use not false right. I sign it. That's what she's not bad.
Then it has rangefinder, which is nice because this weapon doesn't have a ton of range for its archetype. Followed up by drop mag, which is fantastic because this weapon has a horrible reload speed for its archetype. Then there's Hitmark HCS or Crossfire HCS. I'm actually going with Hitmark because I was having a little bit of trouble controlling this weapon. And so I tried to get a little bit of a bump to stability with Hitmark in comparison to Crossfire. And then we have a handling masterwork, which is pretty meh. But that's the roll in the weapon, and for this weapon, that's a pretty good roll to get. Like I said, some of its weaknesses being covered up, but this weapon happens to have a lot of weaknesses. Because statistically, it's pretty horrible. Because for its archetype, it has a very small magazine size of only 7. It has a terrible reload speed that is only really manageable because I have drop mag. It's got a very low stability, which makes it so it's pretty hard to control, and its recoil is pretty awkward. Its range is worse than other weapons in its archetype, and the handling isn't even very good. So that's basically everything that goes into a gun, and it's not very good. Then there's the archetype that the weapon is in, which is the 110 RPM archetype for hand cannons, which is the slowest rate of fire. And this is either the worst hand cannon archetype or the second worst hand cannon archetype, depending on how you look at the 140 RPM archetype. Personally, I think that 140 RPM hand cannons are the worst in the game for console, but that's my opinion. I like the hard-hitting nature and long range that the 110 archetype gives you, and I also love its 2-shot capabilities when you have a damage buff on it like I do with Kill Clip in this video. The main issue with them is that they have the most recoil out of the hand cannons, so generally they're a little bit harder to control for people, but I don't have too much of an issue with them usually. But the Pribina, I felt like it was actually one of the hardest 110 archetypes to control that I've tried. And especially comparing it to like my Duke MK44, the Pribina just feels way worse in just about every single aspect. Having worse range, worse stability, a worse magazine size, and if I didn't have drop mag, a worse reload speed too. So in comparison to other guns in its archetype, there isn't much of a reason to use the Pribina-D other than just to mix things up. And I wouldn't recommend it over any guns in its archetype. That being said, it's not that bad of an option. However, 1v1s are going to be a little bit difficult against people because they'll typically be using other good hand cannons or pulse rifles that deal a lot of flinch. In between the flinch and the recoil, it can be hard to land successive shots, so 1v1s are a little bit challenging, and the Pribina can struggle with them. So yeah, overall this gun isn't really that great, nothing that you really want to seek out, but it can be a decent option. Anyway, I'm just going to leave you with some extra highlights now for the rest of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and see you later. I'm currently destroying with Pribina, though. Yeah, dude. Oh my god, did my cat fart? Oh, it smells so bad. This is actually heinous. What have you done, Zelda? Okay, that was a nice streak with the hand cannon. Ugh!
Everyone had their own number, and you were like figuring out, you would, like count like left to right, top to bottom, like which door you were. That was wild. But yet it took us like a very long time to finish Shiro Chi. Like the second one, they said that was the hardest part. I was like, this part is so easy. Like, how do you struggle? I don't even know.
Get off me, cervical samurai.
I literally just stood in front of a corner and 2 people spawned right in front of me. Like I could literally high-five them.
I didn't get any guns that I wanted either, so that was fun.
Dude,
Join the club.
I want that scout rifle with box breathing.
Well, I don't even want any guns. There's nothing that I really. Oh, I got the Tyranny of Heaven, which actually.
Yeah, they completely screwed that gun by giving it just terrible reload speed, so it's way worse than anything in its archetype.
And I got it with Archer's Tempo Snapshot, so.
Yeah. Somehow I placed.
Congratulations.
The highest I've been is like 2580.
Highest
For
I've been
healer,
is
I placed it like 2800.
Oh, really?
I do miss those days playing Overwatch with Jigs, man. Him playing Mercy and shit.